Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network, and today's topic is life as teacher. And we often think of teachers as stern and disciplinarian style or type teachers, but what if life is a benevolent teacher? And we're going to explore that idea today and look at how we can become more open hearted students. So, before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of life, light, and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together, vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Rosalind. So great to have you here with us this morning. And welcome to everybody else who's joining us. So today we're talking about life as teacher. And it makes me think of our what may be a very common stereotype of a teacher standing up in the front of the room and with a ruler and being kind of a enforcer kind of role, and that's not what we're talking about. Good morning, Sue. So wonderful to have you here with us this morning. So what we're talking about is a teacher not who tells you how things are, but a teacher that engages you in inquiry, a teacher that invites you into exploration and discovery, a teacher who lights up your curiosity for learning rather than someone trying to tell you how to think, what's right, what's wrong, but to enliven you with a collaborative exploration. That's the kind of teacher I'm talking about as life, or that life is and can be when we embrace it in that way. So we've been in so many ways indoctrinated into an authoritarian kind of dynamic where we're punished for misbehavior. And we often have this idea of karma as something that is punishing us for past deeds. And what if instead the things that occur for us in life provide us with opportunity for learning, for growing, for greater expression, And sometimes the lessons are hard lessons. There's no doubt about it. Sometimes the things that we encounter in life just level us to the ground. And it brings me back to something I've shared a number of times with you. When I had the opportunity to volunteer at an event with the Dalai Lama over the period of multiple days, the takeaway that I brought with me is that essentially pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And the words were, all suffering is a function of misconceptualization. So with the life as teacher, yes, we're going to experience pain, and we're going to experience a whole spectrum of sensations and perspectives and contexts and interactions. And we get to approach these events and circumstances of life in a multitude of ways. We get to really choose how we approach these happenings of life. And the encouragement here is, if we can see life as a benevolent teacher, if we can operate from a place of trusting and believing that life is happening for us and through us rather than to us, that we are being invited into a transformational journey, then rather than rejecting life, rather than railing against it, we can cultivate, as I've said so often, a compassionate curiosity for ourselves, for circumstances, for the world that we experience. And as we cultivate that sense of wonder, even sense of awe, sense of the beginner's mind, as we let the overlays of our history and our pain fall away, and our compensations, as we allow ourselves to step beyond those constraints and those limits, what can open up is an engagement and a collaboration, a collaborative relationship with life, where life presents and we receive. And if we can allow ourselves to receive, open ourselves to receive from life rather than to resist it, rather than fight against it, what we can discover is a pathway to our greatest wholeness and our fullest expression. And so what does that look like? Not, why is this happening to me? You know, that kind of question is one that it's sort of an addictive pathway, the why pathway. So Sue says, allow ourselves to receive from life rather than resist our lives. And so, yes, this is, we often rail against life being not the way we want it to be. So I had a wonderful conversation yesterday with a dear, dear friend about the power of our personal magic. And we tend, when things are going our way, we believe in magic. And when things are not going our way, we tend to question that magic. So Sue says, good practice, say yes to what life offers us. I think that that's exactly like to be discerning, maybe even about what life offers us that we say yes to. There may be circumstances in life that are not okay. And it doesn't mean we have to say that those circumstances are okay. And beyond the circumstances, there is the experience. And I think that this is an important distinction. And the opportunity to gain wisdom and the opportunity to learn from something. So here's what came of that conversation yesterday. There was an experience of having created a certain security, a certain sense of calm by invoking the magic of communication with our power of intention and our power of presence. And a circumstance arose that really challenged what the desire was of this person. They had a deep desire for something, and it looked like that desire was dashed, that it was destroyed. And they said, it makes me just even question this whole magic and intentionality. And what came up was, look, we do make up the story of our lives. It may look like life has an isness of its own. It may look like there's a reality that we experience that is objective. But if we look more deeply, we can discover that our experience of reality is anything but objective. It is deeply, deeply subjective. And with that subjective experience of reality, we often don't even see that we're creating our own drama, that we're in our own way. And when things don't go the way we want them to, we can often respond as petulant children and say, well, none of the magic is true, or my story is that it's, what's the point? And we adopt this whole default pattern of resignation and negativity, perhaps, to say that the fact that things aren't going the way I imagined them to be or the way that I wanted them to be means this or that or the other thing. We are meaning making machines. That's what we do, is we make meaning. And so in these moments when things aren't going the way we want them to go, we get to be even more vigilant about the stories that we create. And life challenges us in our stories. And so if we're choosing stories of hope and promise, if we're choosing to create, to actively be the creators in our lives, in collaboration with life and the circumstances and conditions that it presents, then the most important times to be conscious of our creating, of our story making, is in those moments when things don't go the way we want them to go. Because one of the things, well, this is part of the way that I construct the story, and you can try it on and see if it works for you. One of the things that I noticed, and that this person also noticed, is that over time, those things that we have resisted, the circumstances that we've experienced as so painful, so often end up being our greatest teachers, our greatest gifts. That it is the seeds of our greatest challenges that hold, or rather, it is the experience of our greatest challenges that hold the seeds to our greatest potential and our greatest growth. And so when we can cultivate a trust in life rather than letting circumstances that are disruptive breach that trust in life as teacher, if we can, not a punitive teacher, but a benevolent teacher, when we can allow, even in the hardest circumstances, that there is opportunity, that there is an opportunity in every circumstance. Every challenge breeds an opportunity. Every circumstance breeds an opportunity. If we can operate from that place, we can enrich our collaboration with life. And life will challenge us. Life will bend us and break us so that we can break open to new paths, to new awarenesses. We can get so calcified and stuck with our ideas and beliefs about how things are that sometimes it takes really getting shaken up to be able to dislodge those pervasive and penetrating notions or patterns. We cling to these patterns of believing that things are a certain way. And sometimes it takes getting shaken up in a really deep and profound, disruptive way to find our path to a greater connection with ourselves, with each other, with life itself. And so we can embrace life and its lessons, not as punishment. What happens, what's available if we can relieve ourselves from this classical Garden of Eden notion of punishment? What if we can free ourselves from that idea of wrong and misbehaving, that domination and control kind of, you're going to do what I want you to do, or you're going to suffer the dire consequences and you can't be redeemed? What if we step away from that into life as mother, benevolent parent, benevolent teacher, benevolent partner that wants nothing more for us than our fullest expression. What would be different? How could we learn when we know that our teacher has nothing but love for us? What's available? What might allow us to move through even the most difficult of times? How can we allow ourselves to be elevated even when we're cut to the quick? How can we allow ourselves to find a sense of peace, even in the most challenging times? What stories do we get to create? Because we are meaning-making machines. We are story creators. We create and generate the world we live in, our experience of it, through the stories that we tell. And so if things don't go the way we want them to go, and we say, well, none of this meant anything anyway, that's also still a story. It's through our stories that we engage with life, and life gives us every opportunity to create new stories. And so with this person yesterday who was bereft over a circumstance and was ready to give up their creating, their active role in creating, they realized, wait a minute, this is the time where the resolve to create the world I choose to live into must be ever more focused. It's easy to believe when things are going well. It's easy to trust life when things go well. And when things appear not to be going well, that's when we get to even more actively engage, consciously, deliberately, open-heartedly, to create our story. And it's like, okay, what am I going to believe now that things aren't going the way that I wanted them to go? What story am I going to be creating about this? Am I going to be creating a story that I'm being punished? Am I going to be creating a story that I'm being challenged? Am I going to create a story that life is happening for me, even though I may not understand? What if we allow life to guide us into creating stories that support us in living into the life we choose to create? It's always choice. It's always there for us as choice. We are making it up all the time. And we can have life be something that tortures us, or we can have life be something that supports us. That benevolent hand that allows us some support as we move through these deep challenges. And we get lost. And it's okay, because getting lost allows us to more consciously find our way. And when we do that, we come back renewed. We come back on a very different plane. but it means being willing to engage and collaborate with life and what life presents. So that's today's invitation, is to receive life as teacher, a benevolent teacher, to maybe create that story and see how that feels. So Rosalind says the way we look at the world, a filter. Exactly. We create the filter. It's just that oftentimes we inherit it. We don't even know that we're continually creating it over and over. We don't even know it's there. And so we get to expose it. So that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I invite you to please like, follow, and share Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description, and Sue has provided all kinds of links in the chat. So please, please provide your support to Enlightened World Network and me. And it's so deep a privilege and pleasure to be with you always. So until next time.